Hello, everyone, and welcome to this video. My name is George Kohler with eXp Realty and the Platinum Group, and I have got two superstars here with me today. And the whole focus of this video is how to get your buyer's offer accepted in one of the most competitive real estate markets ever. For those of you that have been following along and watching our videos, we did the 4 ways to explode your real estate listing business recently. Now we want to do a follow-up and really focus on the other side of the business. In a seller's market, how do you, as the buyer's agent, get your buyer's offer accepted over all of the other multiple offers that are in that equation? So with me today, I've got Barbara Green from Raleigh, North Carolina, and Barbara's going to be speaking more from the listing agent side of the business. Barbara, for the record, closed 50 transactions, 50 transactions in 20 million in 2020. And then we've got Liz Toth, also from Raleigh, North Carolina. And Liz, in her 4th year, closed 38 transactions for 15 million, which was a gigantic year last year. Right now in 2021, it is the end of July. She's already got 43 written deals. She's going to blow 2020 out of the water. So I don't think I could have 2 better people to be explaining listing side of the business as well as the buyer side. So ladies, thank you so much for being with me today. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll get into it. So advancing on to the next slide, Liz, can you just kick things off for us here and just explain some of the tips?
So to set yourself up for success, really it starts when you first start working with a buyer, that first phone call. It's really truly educating them as to what's going on in the marketplace. So right now, if someone's coming here from another state, a different location, I know it's a seller's market across the country, but Raleigh's really unique. It's a very popular location. It's very much a seller's market here. And it starts with really truly educating them that, one, there's limited inventory available. So there's not going to be as much stuff to see. And there's so many buyers out there that you're going to be competing with multiple buyers and go into multiple offer situations, not only with resale homes, but in a lot of cases as well, in new construction too. You'll be competing for lots or inventory homes. So it starts with really truly educating the buyer and setting their mindset around what is going to happen when they get here, when they start looking for homes. And that has helped me tremendously. I find that by the time people are ready to start looking at homes, like they've accepted and they understand that, like, okay, so I'm going to have to be really competitive. I got to be ready to go. So that's one. 2 is making sure everybody understands the financials. I mean, it's pretty basic, but if you have a home to sell, do you know what it's going to sell for? Do you know what you're going to bring to a purchase? Are you getting a loan? Do you have proof of funds? So going through that process is really important as well. And as a buyer's agent, I won't work with people unless they have that part of the equation figured out, because the market is moving so quickly today that if you don't have all that figured out, as a buyer, they're going to miss out on potential opportunities, and you as a buyer's agent could potentially waste your time. So those are 2 things that are really important when you start working with buyers. I always ask a ton of questions. So I really try to understand, and I learned this from George, really trying to understand what someone's why is or what their motivation is. And a buyer really has to truly have a good motivation and a good understanding as to why they're making a move. And you as their buyer's agent should have a good understanding as well. And that's what's going to help you narrow down what area, what community, what home. And if you don't know that motivation, it's going to be a lot harder. And I think you're going to waste a lot of time. So I always take a lot of notes. I ask a lot of questions. And those are things that have really helped set myself up for success. By doing that, when I start working with someone, I've actually, been able to shorten the amount of time we spend looking at homes, driving around, things like that during the process. And I'm able to get them to contract faster. And then the other piece of the equation is really, taking good notes. So when your clients are, you're in a model home, they're looking at things, asking questions throughout that process. If you're in a model home, if you're in a resale home, ask questions. What do they think about the area? What do they think about the space? Do they think the rooms are big enough? What would they do with a space like a sunroom, for example? Asking those kinds of questions, keeping track of what they say, because you can use that later when you're looking at other homes and communities. You can use that information later and remind them, because after a while, you look at several homes throughout a community, or you spend the day looking at homes, model homes, it all starts to run together for clients. And quite honestly, sometimes it runs together for me too, which is why I like to take notes and really remind myself. And I've had clients, that we looked at an area like Wake Forest, for example, and they told me, no, I don't really like Wake Forest. It's too rural for me. And then 3 weeks later, they really wanted to go to Wake Forest. And I said, but remember, we saw these communities in that area. You said you felt like it was too rural. This was how far, it was to Durham. This is how far it was to Raleigh. Do you still feel like it's going to be too rural for you? And they're like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. So you can really narrow things down for them by using their feedback. And then again, ultimately, it's like you're saving yourself time by doing all of that.
Absolutely, Liz. I think those are fantastic points. And the other big thing that I would say too is in the beginning, when I first started selling homes, I would ask people, what do you think? Or do you like it? And then I started to get really good. And I'd say, how does this home feel to you? Right? Because buying a home is a very emotional experience. Well, it feels small. Well, you told me you want to downsize. Does it feel too small? Oh, no, I guess not. It's just smaller than where I've lived for 30 years. So walking them through the process, I think those are fantastic points. Even in a vacant home, how would you arrange furniture in this room, right? How would you live? How would you entertain? Really get it into their mindset. A lot of people have that formal living room, the formal dining room, and the small family room off the kitchen, and they don't use the formal living room or formal dining room, but twice a year. And now they're looking for more of that great room concept, but they're used to their existing home that they've been in. So those are fantastic tips.
And so in today's market, you really, as a buyer's agent, you can burn yourself out if you don't really truly set some expectations and, make sure your clients are prepared. So I am brutally honest with what's going on in the marketplace. And that's one of the things that has really helped, instill a sense of urgency in my clients. They're either going to have a sense of urgency or they're going to say, maybe I need to put the brakes on for a little bit. So we're talking about, multiple offer situations, limited inventory, not only with resale homes, but also with new construction homes. And doing all of this really kind of sets the stage and, helps the client prepare mentally for what they're about to go into.
So I can say from a listing agent's perspective, the sense of urgency is key. In some of the neighborhoods where I consistently list, I see offers from some of the same people that I know didn't get the deal on a previous listing of mine. So they are always number one in the door on the day it goes live, and their offers are clean and well written, and I know they're committed. I am very confident at that point that if we do execute an offer with these people, we'll get them to close because they've been trying hard and they're in the game to win.
Yeah, that's a great point, Barbara. And I think, educating the clients and preparing them, it helps them understand they're going to need to make a quick decision. It's also helping them understand that they need to be prepared from a financial perspective. You have to have your proof of funds ready to go. You have to, if you're getting a loan, be pre-approved through a lender. And being pre-approved versus pre-qualified is, the pre-approval is so much better and so much stronger when you're presenting offers. And, if you have a home to sell, know what your client's home would sell for, what they're going to bring to another offer or what they'll bring to another purchase. And, all of that's going to help not only instill that sense of urgency in the client, but you're not going to waste your time as a buyer's agent.
Well, and as a listing agent, often buyer's agents are asking me to take a leap of faith. Oh, I'll have the pre-qual done in 2 days on Monday. Or they don't know how to log into their account and they can't give you proof of funds, but their son will help them next week. I can't take a house off the market with those big unknowns. So having all the documentation prepared really helps me present an offer with confidence to my sellers.
It's huge. And anytime I send an offer, I'm never going to send it without all the documents. So the buyer's either prepared or we're not submitting an offer.
That's great.
I think it makes perfect sense too, because in that email, you also want to include a summary, right, of what your offer is. So the agent doesn't have to scroll through 27 pages or however long your contract is in your state, right? Summary of cash or financing, right? 20% down, how much earnest money or due diligence, when's the closing date? Make it easy for the agent, specifically if they're getting 10, 12, 15 offers. You want to make it as easy as possible, not separate emails, one email with the contract, pre-approval or proof of funds, and a summary of what you've got. Put yourself and your buyer in the best position to get your offer accepted. Great points there, ladies.
Exactly.
Regular communication is key. Keeping your clients connected to the market. So I don't just set my clients up on an MLS search and forget about it. I watch the market and will handpick listings for them and send them to them. And my clients love that I do that, because I'm taking an active role in their home search and trying to really truly match up a home to what they're looking for. So they're not just having to, go through however many listings come on each day, and so many of them don't meet what they're looking for. Because in some cases, in order to not miss things in the MLS, like stuff might get mislabeled, like an agent might forget to put that there's a master bedroom on the main floor. So if you're only looking for a listing with a master bedroom on the main floor, and it's been incorrectly labeled in the MLS, well, you're never going to see that listing. So I prefer to do like a vague search for my clients. I handpick the listings and I send them to them to show them homes that only meet 80% of their criteria. Because we all know those people who will look at every single house. They want to look at every single house, even if it's not going to meet their criteria. And that's it's a waste of your time. And it's a way to, you just get burnt out. So I really try to narrow down the homes and keep it very, very like laser focused. And it's rare that my clients will come back to me and say, hey, well, I saw this on Zillow. That I handpick them through the MLS and send them to them. Those are the ones that really truly come closest to what they're looking for in a home.
That reflects back into a listing perspective too, because when I have somebody living in their house and they're showing their home, and then an agent comes in and gives feedback like, well, they need an office too. I'm like, did you read the MLS?
Yeah.
I mean, these are the kind of agents you start to make a mental note of. If they can't figure out that there's no office, how could we ever get to the closing table? So there's a little of that.
Great points there. And Liz, if you could just explain, how are you individually having all of these homes emailed to you, and then you are individually deciding which ones to forward on to your clients? Does that happen first thing in the morning? Because I think this is a game changer. This is an additional 5 to 10 minutes of effort that will save hours for you showing homes that are not the right fit in, who knows where. But I think this is really a pro tip that a lot of agents, they think it's going to take a lot more time up front, and it takes a little bit more time, but it saves you hours and gets your buyers into the right homes right away. Are you having those listings emailed to yourself? Like, did you set yourself up on an MLS trip and then you individually send the right ones to your buyers?
Yeah. So if someone's looking in a particular community or a couple communities, I will set myself up on a search. And just because I can't remember everybody and what they're searching for at any given moment, I label the search their name, so that anytime it comes to me, it'll be like, hey, Sally Smith, and 123 Main Street just came on the market, and I'll check it out and see. And if it works for them, I'll send it to them. And I do have an example. I was doing this for a client of mine. He was very busy, and he was so grateful that he didn't get 800 emails a day, with MLS listings. And I did handpick the listings for him. And I sent him one that was coming soon. And he called me and he's like, I think that's it. And he went in. I got him into the house. We were one of the first showings, and ultimately he wrote the offer. It was multiple offers, and we got the house. But again, it was a matter of like asking all the right questions, taking the notes, getting a really good understanding of what he's looking for in a home, because I don't have time to just go out and, show 25 homes to someone. We really need to narrow it down, narrow that focus down, just because of the way the market is. You really have to have that laser focus if you're going to help someone in this market today, especially with like the way, one home is going to come on the market and 25 people are going to be in that home the first day, and they're going to have 10 offers. So you really have to have that laser focus. So yeah, so I set them up on a search. It comes through with their name. I'll look at the listing really quick and see, a lot of people will say they don't want to back to another home. So if I see there's a home, that one's out, I move on. So it helps me a lot. And it really gives, like, I think, it adds value. I've had buyers tell me, I don't want to find the house for myself. That's why I need an agent. I need you to help me. And I do think that they feel like, I'm adding value and really truly trying to understand not only what they're looking in a home, but just, respectful of their time, as well.
Absolutely. And the second bullet point on here talks about getting them actively involved. And it's almost like you're giving your buyers homework. And the reality is, this is the largest investment of their lifetime. They should be actively involved. They should have a vested interest in this, not just you. So walk me through that.
So when I first started, in real estate, like I wasted a lot of time, just jumping up, meeting people at homes, showing homes, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, I don't like this location." Well, it's like, oh, maybe I wish I would have had them drive through. And so obviously the light bulb went off, and I started having people, if they're local, drive through the neighborhood, check it out. And that it works well today because so many homes come on the market, they're coming soon. We can't get into them anyways. So why don't you drive through the neighborhood, drive around, see what you think of it, let me know, and I'll get us in. If you think it's the right neighborhood, the right location, all that stuff, I'll get us in as quickly as I can, as soon as it comes on the market. So I've also had clients that, I'm just not available. And they've literally like, hey, if there's an open house, I'll go to it. So I've had clients go to open houses, drive through neighborhoods, and to just, get a better understanding, and so that they also have that vested interest. And Barbara and I have talked about this too. If clients are coming here from out of state, I'll show them a community and I'll show them some homes. And then it's like, hey, here's a list of addresses in Fuquay Varina, go check out these restaurants. Here's the address of the grocery store. Here's an address that'll get you down to downtown Raleigh. So if that's something important to you, you can drive down there, see what it's like. I give them homework, and then they can go spend the afternoon doing that. And then that way they have a better understanding. And then later we connect and talk about, well, what did you think about that? And if they say, well, we really didn't like the area, then that area's out and we move on to something else.
Sometimes it's as simple as it's just way too far. I had no idea. They don't have a concept of how spread out the Raleigh-Durham triangle is. And they're like, whoa, that's a beautiful place, but it was an hour from my daughter's house. So
really good points there. Hey, we weren't planning on talking about this, but Liz, can you just talk people through the Google map that you've created for people?
Yeah, definitely. So I sell in a lot of the same communities, and I work with a lot of people who come from out of state. And so I created, just because people are not familiar with the area, they don't understand how close, like maybe Wake Forest is to Durham, or, how far away Fuquay could be from the airport. So I created a Google map. I put in all the communities so that they're all starred and they show up on this map. And then I added layers where you have shopping, you have restaurants, you have museums, hospitals. So someone can go into this Google map and they can see where, Traditions is in Wake Forest, and they can see, that you can just take 98 across to get over to Durham, or to the Briar Creek area, that you can just take Capitol Boulevard down into Raleigh. So it really helps people kind of get oriented with how the triangle is laid out, where the communities are located. And this is a great precursor to meeting, because when I actually meet with someone in person, I also provide a map as like a refresher. And so people will say, oh yeah, that's right, I saw that on your map, the distance, and I figured it was roughly a half hour or so into downtown Raleigh from here, and so on and so forth. So the maps really help, especially with someone who's coming from out of state, to just get a better idea of how the whole triangle is laid out.
I love it. I think it's a fantastic idea. That's a pro tip, everybody. If you have not done this, number one, it's free. Costs you zero other than your time. It is truly an interactive Google map. You could search in Google, create my own Google map. Just log into your Gmail account. You can create as many maps as you want to. You create it one time and you can use it for the next several years. If a new community comes on, you just add the community. It is an actual Google map. So you go at the top and you type in Carolina Arbors, it finds it, you hit add a pin. Then you search Carolina Preserve, add a pin, Creekside, whatever it might be for your area. But you can create one Google map that's got all the communities, it's got shopping, airports, restaurants, all in one spot that you do one time. Truly adds value and really differentiates you from any other real estate agent in your area. And now moving on to knowing your neighborhood, some tips for real estate agents here.
So I always like to try to be like I know the inside scoop on the different neighborhoods that I sell a lot in. So, and I always tell my clients that, hey, I do network with agents who sell a lot in these communities. So I do always get like an inside scoop that like, hey, this particular floor plan is going to be coming on the market, or this will be coming soon eventually. And so I just kind of stay connected to that network of agents who sell a lot in a particular community, to just stay ahead of the game and know what's coming up. And I know that my clients appreciate that, and it adds a lot of value, just because it's so unpredictable. If a buyer's out there looking for a home by themselves, like, they have no idea. We don't know, when But if I can stay connected with those agents, I can provide that information. It really truly provides value. And then it helps me too, because then I can plan. If I know that a home is going to be coming soon eventually, and it could potentially be one that my client's looking for, I'm going to really keep that on the radar and watch for it again, because the market is moving so quickly. If you miss it, like day one, you could potentially miss out on the home altogether, because it could sell the first day, or sometimes they sell before they even come on the market. So I'm really trying to be proactive when in the neighborhoods that I have clients looking.
So I can say from the flip side, from a listing agent's perspective, I have a lot of agents, a handful of agents that consistently sell in similar neighborhoods as me. And they're always checking in. What do you have coming up? What's coming on the market? What do you know about this? Especially from the ones that did not win a deal when they were in a multiple offer situation. I start to be very partial to them. I'm rooting for them. I'm explaining, kind of things they need to know about the neighborhood and how it flows and the difference between floor plans. So their clients are really prepped when the right one does come along. So I really do value agents that keep in touch with me, because I think these guys are committed and it's not going to go sideways because it's something everybody knew but them.
If you're selling in certain neighborhoods, or have clients looking in certain neighborhoods, like, know the rules. What are some of the most commonly asked questions? Can you put a fence in? Can I change the landscaping? Know the rules and what goes on in the community, so that you're prepared. Because again, it all comes down to, like, you have to move incredibly fast. A lot of times you don't have time to ask questions. You have to get the offer in, you have to meet a deadline. Your clients are anxious. They just want to get an offer in. They want to hear back from the list agent. So you don't always have the time to do all the investigation. So sometimes you just have to know the information up front. You have to have done the research beforehand to really, truly, be prepared to go under contract with a client, or to write an offer for a client in one of these neighborhoods.
Any other tips on knowing the neighborhoods, Barbara, that you would want agents to know from a buyer side standpoint?
Well, I would just say, really understand, what an HOA is, what's covered, make sure they've seen clubhouses, make sure they understand the schools around there and the roads, anything coming in that could be different. You just want to make sure that you have confidence that the agent presenting the offer knows the area, knows the neighborhood, and has educated their buyer accordingly.
So when you're crafting an offer, obviously the most important part, you have a client, they're excited, they're ready to go, they want to write the offer. I love it when people ask me or tell me, this is the house I want, tell me what I need to do to get it, because there's multiple offers. I always try to be, if I know a client is going to be truly interested, always try to be the first person in the door to show the house. And I do try to get my offer in first. I don't know why, it doesn't matter with deadlines today, but it's like, be the first in the door, be the first one to get your offer in, and make it an amazing offer. I always give feedback. I try to call right away if a client is interested, but if not, I try to do the feedback through showing time that, client is interested in making an offer, or we're working on an offer, so that they know it's to expect it.
So I'd have to say one thing you said there, Liz, that it doesn't matter if you're in first. I know you and I have both recently been in a situation where the offer that Liz presented was so good. My seller said, Barbara, what are we waiting for? We need to be respectful. This buyer obviously loves my house, and I'd like to sell it to her. Who else cares? Who cares about the ones that could come in late tonight? This is an amazing offer. They've shown a lot of respect for my home, and this is the type of person I'd like to work with. So I think that's pretty important.
I think that's great feedback. And one thing that I'll say is I listed a home on the Friday of July 4th weekend. Between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we had 37 showings and 24 offers. And my buyer said, I don't want to be out of my house on Monday. Can you please just accept one of these offers? So we just always think, oh, they're going to want as many people and as many eyeballs and as many offers as possible. Sometimes they're done. They got a great offer and they're ready to move on and go back to their life and not have to leave their house all day.
Right. So time frame matters. I always put in the notes that the seller has the right to accept an offer at any time, and they can also extend it past the date that might be in the MLS. It's their house, it's their money, it's completely within their control.
Barbara, can you address one of the most important points, which is the second bullet point on here? Don't be annoying.
So when we were talking about why we would have a listing agent and a buying agent together, because inevitably, when you're listing a house, I mean, you just start to make a note of the agents that just can't get out of their own way. The same people call and just don't know how to get into a lockbox, or they call regarding the MLS because they can't read the notes or something like that, or they're not registered with the MLS and their friend's going to show the house, and is it okay if we just go in? Just crazy things that you're like, oh my goodness, how can I get to the closing table with this person?
But I think, from the don't be an annoying perspective, it's like, if you can find the answer elsewhere, if you want to, your client wants to know the age of the HVAC, well, look at the disclosure form. I mean, don't call the list agent and ask that when you can just get access to it through the disclosure form. If there's information and you can get questions answered without bothering the list agent, then
Right.
that's what I try to do.
Right.
I can speak to understanding how aggressive your client will be up front. I think, it's important to really, truly, set the expectation. We've talked about that, educating the client on the marketplace and setting their minds, setting them up to have the right mindset to make a quick decision and be aggressive and know, like, this is what I'm willing to do to get a house. And because when you walk in the right place and someone turns to you and says, I want this house and I want it off the market today, you have to advise them and you have to do it in a way that's like not going to make them fall over, right? So understanding how aggressive they are, if you make a suggestion or you give them advice and then they question that and they want to back off, then I will tell clients, like, if you're not willing, this house has multiple offers, it's going to go over list, there's a deadline out there for offers. If you're not willing to do this, this, and this, then we shouldn't even waste our time writing an offer, because it takes a lot of time and effort to put together an offer. It's a couple hours worth of work if you really truly want to put together a good offer and you want to have it presented properly to the list agent, and you do a nice summary email and you have all the attachments that you're supposed to have. It really truly takes a lot of time. So if they're not willing to really step it up, especially in a multiple offer situation, then I just advise the client that you're probably not ready to make an offer yet.
And again, you're disappointing your client. You write the offer, they don't get it. What did that accomplish?
Yeah. And I think, in today's market as a buyer's agent, it is so easy to get burnt out if you're not setting those boundaries, if you're not setting the expectations. Don't just write the offer to write the offer. I had a listing recently and we got 19 offers and 6 of them probably should never have been written. It was a waste of time, and ultimately you not only waste your time and your client's time, and you set them up for, like, hoping that we're going to win this because we did submit an offer. You also waste the seller's time because now you're, submitting an offer that's may not even be competitive.
I love that. Can you explain the last bullet point on here? Because I don't think a lot of people do this, and I think it's a real pro tip.
Oh, I always have a lender contact the list agent, and it's a great idea because, especially when you're working with we work with the HECM loans sometimes, and some agents don't understand that, or they haven't seen it. Anytime I have a client who's getting a loan, I try to connect the lender to the list agent, even if the lender is just going to leave a voicemail, to just let them know, hey, we've gone through the pre-approval process. They've gone through underwriting. Basically, all we need is a contract and appraisal. We're going to be ready to close. And it's just going to give that added assurance to a list agent. And hopefully that list agent will convey it to a seller to help put us in a stronger position to get our offer accepted.
I love that. And I can tell you from experience, I was in a multiple offer situation. There were 7 offers. My buyer was one of them. And because the lender called and talked to the listing agent and went over the top about how qualified the buyer was, we got approved. We got offer accepted over the other offers that I think might have been a little bit above ours, but it was a little bit of sketchy financing. There's not one magic banana, right? It's all these small things really being dialed in, helping your buyers be realistic. Right? Like in the past several years, buyers have had to lose one house to then be able to find it. And how many more homes do you have to show them? Another 10, 12, 15, another 3 or 4 offers. When what if they just went in strong on that first one? At the end of the day, does $1,000 or $2,000 over the next 30 years really make a big difference? Or are they going to remember that they had to go look at another 30 houses, not sleep at night because they're worried about being homeless? Like, really do your clients justice by going in early, communicating, right? Giving a strong offer, communicating effectively with the listing agent, and not being annoying was kind of the theme here. Barbara, any last suggestions you have for buyer's agents?
Well, I would say, really stick to email communication. Texts are fine for quick things, but you're trying to present things to the seller. You need good documentation. You need to be able to follow up with various files, especially in a multiple offer situation. So keeping the communication professional and clear and organized can just speak volumes to what it would be like to actually get a deal done with that particular buyer's agent.
I love it. We were not planning on talking about this, but Barbara, do you use an Excel spreadsheet to be able to track all of your offers just from a little bit of the listing side? How do you typically do that you're presenting it to your buyer, or excuse me, to your sellers?
Yes, I have done that when I have a lot of different offers, but usually what I do is I'll write it in an email, offer number one, number two, and I'll put the 5 bullet points of what's important to them. I'll put in parentheses my 2 cents or why that's good or bad or things to watch for. I'll highlight it, and then I talk them through it, and it's all right there.
Okay. Liz, any final thoughts from the buyer side and getting your offer accepted? Anything that's really worked for you?
No, I think, George, you had made the point about, maybe buyers missing out on one home and then having to look at 30 homes. And in this market, we don't have 30 homes to look at. So, really truly educating your client and helping them understand what's going on and getting them comfortable with making quick decisions and being aggressive is going to help them get the home that they want, and not have to worry for the next couple of months. Is there even going to be a home that comes on in this community, in the next 30 or 60 days? Like at this point, with the way inventory is, there might not be anything else to show them for a long time. And I've had that happen where it's like we didn't get something and we were waiting a couple of weeks for something to come up, so it's a matter of just, really truly educating your clients, keeping them informed. I will show examples of statistics like, homes in this community have been listed for this and they've sold for this, so that, they can see in black and white that people are paying, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 over the list price to get a home today, to help them understand. So it's really, truly just, educating the client, keeping them up to date, and just making sure that they understand what it's going to take to really, truly get a home in a multiple offer situation in a market like we're in right now.
Love it. Barbara, I feel like you had something else you wanted to add.
Well, sometimes people will see, well, there were 20 homes that sold between January and April. I'm sure another one will come along.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, this particular buyer has just their heart set on a specific plan. And if you know the neighborhood well, you can point out, yeah, but only one of these was the plan you're waiting for.
Exactly.
So, that's
Exactly.
knowing your neighborhood.
And then and also, if you're looking at January, February, March, like that market wasn't anything like what it is today. So you can't compare January and February to what's gone on in April, May, and June. You can't compare that. When I run comps or I look at neighborhoods, I'm only looking at the last 60 days or 90 days because, January and February were so different than what's going on today.
Fantastic tips, ladies. And, just want to mention to everybody that both Barbara Green and Liz Toth are in the Raleigh area of North Carolina. I'm based out of Chicago. We were all with different brokerages. They were with KW. I was with neighborhoods.com. And we've all made the transition to eXp Realty. And there's 5 main reasons for that. It's the 5 pillars of eXp Realty. And the first, probably one of the most important, is stock and equity that you get in the company. Barbara Green was with Keller Williams for 12 years. For 12 years, she paid KW about $23,780 a year, and she would get a gigantic trophy at the end of the year, which was dynamite. At eXp Realty, if Barbara sold 31 homes or more, and depending on your market, it might be a little bit less, she would get $16,000 of stock equity in the company. We all love trophies. We all love plaques. I personally love $16,000 of stock, which is dynamite. So again, this is the owning your business versus renting it with another brokerage. The next thing on here is healthcare. At eXp Realty, for myself, I'm 39, my wife's 38. I have a 7-year-old and 4-year-old daughters. We were going to be paying about $2,200 a month on healthcare.gov to have an okay health insurance plan that had a $5,000 deductible. With eXp, I'm paying $1,100 a month. I'm saving $1,000 every single month. I have the equivalent of $1,000 deductible, and that also includes dental and vision. No other brokerage in the country is offering this combination of stock, healthcare, and now technology. This is the best technology package I've ever seen. With KV Core Smart CRM that includes a WordPress website with IDX, it includes landing pages, squeeze pages, it includes artificial intelligence that will communicate back and forth with your lead. It includes lead funnels. It is an absolute game changer. We also get SkySlope for transaction management. We also get Facebook Workplace to connect with our brokers, to connect with our real estate network across the country. It is the best technology package I've ever seen. On top of that, we get over 50 hours of live training classes taught by the best of the best agents at eXp, the icon agents. On top of that, we have on-demand training that you can access at any point on scaling your real estate business, on SkySlope, on KV Core, on becoming the YouTube real estate agent. Incredible training, some of the best I've ever seen, and it's free. You don't have to pay $2,500 or $3,000 and fly somewhere. You can access it at any point in time. And then last but not least is revenue share, the ability to build your own residual income stream that can grow and grow and grow with time, which is just an absolute game changer. Guys, if you have not heard about eXp Realty, or you heard about it and somebody was trying to get you to join their team and annoyed you, I encourage you to check it out, right? This is your business. This is your future. You can learn more at a website that we've built that is the one source of truth for everything eXp, that will explain everything about these 5 pillars. It is platinumgroupexp.com. You want to get more information and learn about the compensation, the stock, the healthcare, the technology package, training, or revenue share, go to platinumgroupexp.com. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. And most importantly, Barbara Green and Liz Toth, you are superstars. I am so stoked to work with you, and thank you for giving us the time today.
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch our video today. And I am looking forward to hearing from you if you have any questions about eXp or the Platinum Group. And our contact information is on the About page.
Thank you, everybody. I hope I get the opportunity to talk with you soon about eXp.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.